welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. Now, for today on the show, we have the incredible, the legendary, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the one and only Sydney. Sydney, how are you today?
I'm so good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I mean, what better way to have an incredible Super Saturday than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? You know what I mean?
Oh, you're so kind. Well, right back at you.
There you go. There you go. Now, I do want to thank those who are tuning in, and also on the description below, I'm gonna let maybe I'm gonna let all of Sydney social media. Let's follow her and let's discover why she's super badass. And without further more, let's jump in here. So I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question, which is, what inspired you to pursue a career in voice acting?
Oh, well, I've always been fascinated with voice acting. I grew up watching Looney Tunes and cartoons, and I remember my dad describing Mel Blanc and what he did, and I was always fascinated with it. But my true journey didn't really start it until later, and it was a very difficult journey for me to muster up the courage to even pursue this career.
Yeah.
I so in my first career, I was like, I got to get a logical career, like one that I guaranteed money and or things like that. And I was like, acting, I can't do that. And but it ended up, I remember being in a graduate program. It was very grueling, and it just drove me into the ground. And so I ended up leaving that career because of that. And after that, I realized, well, that was the logical choice. But what if I pursued something a little something else? And I remember seeing a casting call on Facebook for voice actors, and I was like, you know what, if I don't try, I'm gonna regret this for the rest of my life. And so I auditioned and I got in, and it kind of snowballed from there. And ever since, I learned, what about taking risks and being willing to take risks? And it's changed my life forever, and I've never looked back. And I'm so grateful for this difficult lesson because it gave me the courage to pursue voice acting.
Mm, that's epic. That's like badass. Level one. We're starting out. That is incredible, and it's amazing, right? That sometimes life would give you like like signs, or would give like subliminal messages to be telling you like you are in the wrong path. You should go try this instead. You know what I mean? Like perhaps like
Oh, yeah.
if we realize sometimes, perhaps we are yeah, like they're sending like life sometimes will be sending us opportunities for us to take it, and it's up to us to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna try this. Let's see what happens. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, exact. That's really well said. Life kind of pushed me in this direction, and I'm so glad it did in the end because I definitely would not be where I am today without taking that risk.
Mm-hmm. 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 And tell me, like how you usually prepare, like how are you able to prepare um to present a character, with no visuals or something like that? Like what is your process here to prepare this character with your voice to it?
Oh, great question. So, if I don't have any visuals and I just have the script with me, I actually rely a lot on my director. So, they help me understand the character, their motives, why they're reacting this way, and their total vision for the project. And so, um, to help, I think that's my first approach is going to the director, asking them questions to understand the why behind every action of the character.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, it's a challenge for sure, the fact that you're gonna to play this character when sometimes there is like no particularly way to see it somehow, you know what I mean? So
Totally. It can be hard. But with the director, you can step into the character, and that's something I really enjoy.
totally. And how you handle that pressure, you know?
Uh, that's a good question. I have to lose myself into the character. I have to be them for the moment, and um, I almost have to kind of let go of the pressure of performing. Just kind of get out of the way of the character. I had a director and friend tell me it's just they said get out of the way of the character and let them do the talking. And that's stuck with me ever since. And if I do that, that's when the magic happens. And So I that's what I do is let go of myself and let the character do its work.
There you go. Badass level 2.
Yes.
I love it. And can you describe a role that significantly challenged you and how you were like, how you approach that?
Role that challenged me. So I was super fortunate to be cast in an animation called Mad Mutants, and that character, and it's not released yet. I can't say much, but the character has a lot of emotional and gut wrenching depth to her, and to be able to dive into that character, to understand the nuances of her reactions, why she's reacting that way, but also is the hero at the same time, was very tricky and just emotionally and physically challenging to perform in the booth. And with my director's help, I was able to help uh, capture her and lose myself to the character. So I would say that's a performance I'm really proud of, and I can't wait for everybody to see this project come out.
Totally. And would you say that that would be like the role that you are most proud of it, or is it that, or is there any other role or project that you are that yeah that you are proud of it that you were able to pull it through?
Oh gosh, I've been so fortunate. There have been wonderful projects I've been a part of. One of them that comes to mind is I was asked to audition for a character named Mel for the YouTube channel Belena Productions, and she's so well written and beautifully designed. And I remember she has a an accent that's different than mine, and so I had to train for the role. I had to go work with my coach on it, and I remember even in the auditioning and recording process, it was a solid 2 weeks of just me eating, drinking, sleeping Mel for a solid 2 weeks just to understand her and her nuances. And I was just so determined to get that character right. And so, with my director's help and everybody else's help, I was able, I, I feel really proud of that performance and what we did there.
I love it. I love that. It's amazing and challenging, and also like the fact that you were able to make that happen. I mean, that is yeah, that is incredible.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad it worked out. I can't wait for everybody to see her.
Totally. And tell me, like, what is your go-to warm-up exercise before recording a session?
Oh, I absolutely I have a singing coach, and so I record those sessions with my singing coach, and so we always do warm-ups at the beginning. And the warm-ups are great because they strengthen my voice, but they also run my voice through its range, and so I always turn those on before I go to a warm up. So um all my voice is incredibly warm, and my facial muscles are incredibly warm by the time I'm ready to record.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I once interview like yeah, like a long time ago. I once interview a voice no no. Well, she was a voice. Yeah, I mean, she's a voice coach, but also she's a doctor to it, so she
Oh wow.
specializes, in that field, and she was telling me like all of the like how to yeah, like a little bit on how to maintain your voice healthy, that at the end of the day it's a muscle and you need to actually, keep it healthy, like ways to do it, things like that that perhaps sometimes we just take it for granted, and we don't realize that perhaps we are pushing it somehow or we are hurting it somehow or we are, you know what I mean? Like those type of stuff here and there. So, and that is incredible because you were, I mean, at least to me, I was able to kind of understand like a little bit to it. Perhaps that we sometimes, I mean, and it's okay if we just, if we don't know things here and there, especially like whenever we were watching, um, a voice acting performance, we just see the project and be like, this is cool. But once we kind of understand like a little bit on how on kind of the behind the scenes on how someone needs to be prepared in order to perform in a certain way, I mean that's incredible. So
Oh yeah, it's so important. We do take our voices for granted, just like you said. So yeah, it can be dangerous if you're not careful.
totally. And which, I mean, that being said, that takes me to my next question, which is how do you keep your voice in top condition? Is there any special routines going on here or any tips perhaps?
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you asked because this is one of my top subjects that I always think about when I'm performing. And I'm always obsessed with, and my coaches know I'm obsessed with vocal safety. So one of the things that I do is I actually do rely on my coaches a lot. They help me recognize signs of vocal fatigue or signs of when I've gone too far. But one tip that I heard from another voice actor and it's just resonated with me is actually to have a routine checkup with your local ENT, your ears, nose, and throat doctor every year. And I started doing that this year, and it's so reassuring. So, not only do I have my coaches helping me monitor my voice, but I also have a professional doctor taking a look, making sure I'm not pushing things too far, making sure my vocal folds are healthy. And that for me has been a total game changer.
Badass level 4.
So,
That is
yes.
incredible. I mean, that is amazing here, and as I mean, and as I was saying, like once we realize that like all the proper care we sometimes need to take on it, and as I was mentioning, the fact that we just sometimes take it for granted, right? We just because we speak daily, we just don't sometimes pay attention to it, and perhaps our voice somehow is not feeling well, or something like that. So yeah, it's also important to take a look every now and then. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, you never know. It's like, going to the dentist or getting a regular checkup with your eye doctor. You use your voice every day, and especially if you're using it in extreme ways,
Mhm.
which often comes with voice acting. It's good to be watching for preventions and voice polyps and vocal nodes and stuff like that. That's scary stuff and permanent stuff. So that's what I would recommend is getting a professional to take a look at you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I have a quick story here. Like 9 years ago, I went to this kind of party, and I was screaming, I was singing, I was dancing, but I was like screaming, all with heart and all of that. And the next day, I couldn't speak.
Oh.
I had to. I remember that I went to a doctor, and the doctor told me, gave me some, like some pills, some medicine here and there, and he was telling me, just don't speak for a couple of days, and you'll be fine.
Oh,
Just
yeah, get that vocal rest.
just don't speak, none of it. And having like to experience that for at least 2 days, not able to speak or just like a little bit to it, yeah, it was horrible. You know what I mean?
Eh,
Because
you don't know what you have until you lose it.
totally, totally, totally. And tell me, what's like a typical day like for you when you're working on a project?
Oh, okay. So, usually I'll get the script before, so I'll read through it and make sure if there's any, maybe rehearse through it just to make sure I've got the words and pronunciation correct, and I have any initial director's suggestions. And then about 2 hours before I record, I avoid eating spicy or sticky dairy foods before I perform. And then if I have a live session, I'll review the script with the director, make sure I've got the characters' motivations and any vision that they have, and then I perform with them and record it, send it off to them, and it's always a blast every time.
Yeah, I love it. I love like the whole voice acting world. I mean, I love it. I love watching like behind the scenes of a project when they were like on the recording booth, or things like that. And
Oh, so cool.
I remember that once I saw Bradley Cooper doing his voice, his voice sessions for Rocket and Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, this is so fun. This is really cool, and like seeing actors like doing it, that they're putting emotions to it, and like when you see the project is like our character is running, but when you see the behind the scenes, just standing there, of course it's challenging, but it's pretty cool, like how you were able also like to tell stories with the voice and not necessarily play your whole body to it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, and that goes, I think, back to your previous question where we don't have. I'm not on a set usually with another actor or anything like that, and you have to. So all that emotion and feeling comes through sound, and it's super fun and fascinating, and it's a great challenge to take on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like once you see like the final project, like the final project to it, it's amazing. I mean, I I play video games a lot, and like the whole voice acting to it. I mean, since I started with this whole platform chat with Dan and everything, like whenever I see now the performances and everything, I'm like, this is pretty cool. You know, like the fact that you will like to play this villain or to play this character, you know, like the emotions to it, you know, like if they're like running or if they're hanging or if they're, you know, like struggling, like all of that, like all those emotions they're putting. I remember also I saw an interview with Tom Hanks that he was explaining the process of recording Woody, and that and he was mentioning that whenever you're finishing it, it was feeling that you were almost having like a heart attack because you needed to put like a lot of effort to it, like running and struggling and all of that, and you need to make it as real as possible for the audience. And yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, it's so inspiring. It reminds me of a quote from Tara Strong, and I'm sure I'm butchering it, so as I bump my mic. She said that, people ask her like, "Oh, do you like think about the scene or do you visualize the scene?" And she said, "No, no, no. I am the character in that moment. I am in the moment." And it's very true, and I think it aligns exactly with what you're saying. Where you have to give it all, especially with screaming and running and things like that. You give everything to that audio so the audience can feel the authenticity of the character.
Totally, totally. And when you're able like to do it in the fact that the audience at some point can actually relate to that character, or when they see it, they instantly realize we need the voice to it. You know what I mean? Like we will see it sometimes that on a specific role will have like a different voice and be like, mm-mm. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
this is not no, I mean it's cool, but not the real thing, you know?
Yes, not what I pictured, or yes,
Mm,
audiences are smart. They'll pick up on it.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's but as I said here, like it's amazing, like how like what your voice can actually impact somebody, you know, and can actually um yeah, like actually show people that they care about that character. You are creating it with just your voice, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, I love voice acting. It's so magical.
Totally, totally. And tell me, like, what's the process like for auditioning for a voice role?
Ooh, that's a good process. A good question. So with auditioning, I always triple check the directions. You don't ever want to give a casting director a reason to say no. I so I think that's my number one rule is making sure I'm exactly matching everything that the director is asking for. Um, because one, if I got the part and I didn't follow the directions, that's not very fair. And and then two, it's basically a job interview every time you audition, and you getting those directions and making sure those are correct is super important. So that's my first thing, and then my other goal is to make sure I always have good audio quality, but also make sure I can demonstrate my range as an actor. So my goal is whenever I get reads, I will provide different takes that are contrasting enough to each other to show that the director that, hey, if you give me one direction, I can do it that way, or if you give me another direction, I can do it that way. So those are the goals that I look for when I'm auditioning.
There you go. I love it. And do you have any hidden talents or hobbies that complement your voice acting skills?
Yes, I can read IPA, so the International Phonetic Alphabet, which is super helpful with accent work. And then I also have a degree in communicative disorders, so I understand speech and language development and vocal anatomy, and so that helps me a lot, especially when I'm playing children. I can see what age that child is, and I can estimate, okay, about this age they have these sounds down, about this age they're probably speaking like this. So that's something that's helped me a lot behind the booth.
Okay, so you're super talented and super badass now.
Oh,
You're
oh,
crushing it here, just saying.
oh, I'm so glad to hear it.
I love it. And can you share a memorable blooper or funny moment from a recording session?
Oh my goodness. So um one time I was recording a scene where I was a woman being mugged. um,
Okay.
in the next room beside me, my little brother was tutoring virtually. So this poor student is hearing in this other room in the distance a woman screaming for her life and asking her to spare her for her children and all this stuff. I'm sure that student thought my brother was part of the mafia or something. It was it turned out pretty funny, but I ended up getting a good take on it, so it worked out in the end.
That is amazing. I mean, I'm pretty sure the student was like, so this is how it is, huh?
Exactly. Nothing like terrifying somebody for their day, right?
How was your lesson? It was good, it was I while they were teaching me on it, there was someone being robbed.
Exactly, exactly. They were doing something to a woman in the other room, but it's fine.
Classic 2024 going on here. So
Exactly, exactly.
there you go. There you go. And what's the most unusual, yeah, like the most unusual sound or voice you ever had to create?
Almost original. Let's see. Um, I always have a tricky time when I have a character that's doing an impression of another character, especially if it's out of my range. So like a more of a masculine range, where it's super low. So if a female character is trying to imitate a male character, so I'm doing two voices at once, that's very challenging for me. And usually the product is, but it's fun to try.
Totally, totally. And if your voice had a superpower, what would it be?
I would say one, to learn any language instantly, and then two, to be able to learn any accent instantly. If you're multilingual, voiceover is a it can be super lucrative. It can give you a lot of edge, and accents can also give you a lot of edge as an actor.
Totally. And are there any languages that you are learning and how many accents you were able to perform?
Oh goodness, I'm not fluent in any other language than English. So if you're pursuing voice acting, though, definitely look into getting another language. That's something I wish I had. And then accent wise, I do have an accent coach,
Okay.
Sammy Grant. She's incredible. Um, how many accents I've studied with her? I've studied, oh geez, uh, British RP, Southern Rhotic, Southern non-Rhotic, New York, Irish. Um, I think about six or seven accents with her so far.
That is
So
cool.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because you're able to kind of to perform in a different way every now and then. So that's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, and it's a great way to disguise the voice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you use those techniques in your daily life, let's say, or
Oh, using an accent in my daily life?
just to have fun of it? Be like, "Mm."
Yes. So the best way I found for me to learn an accent is to use it. So for example, when I was learning British RP, I told my family I'm going to be speaking British RP for the rest of the day. So we went to the zoo, and I just pretended that I was from Great Britain the whole time, and it's great. So I fully recommend it if you're learning accents.
Yeah, that's amazing. I will be doing it for fun. Yeah, we'll be doing it every single day.
Yeah, it's super fun.
That is so cool. And tell me, like, what role does improvisation play in your work?
Oh, it's huge in voice
Hmm.
acting. You need to be ready to work on your feet if your director demands it. It also forces you to know your character even more intimately. You need to know on the fly exactly how they would react. So I would say improvisation is absolutely huge in voice acting.
Okay. Yeah, I see that happening. That's good. Okay, okay. And what future trends do you see emerging in the voice acting industry?
It's kind of a sad one. I see a lot more AI now, especially in commercial work. Um, And it's super sad to see AI taking so much work from artists. And I can see from a business standpoint it saves a buck. But I really hope that we can still manage to keep this art alive and to always bring the human aspect. A robot can't bring I, that's the one thing that
Mhm.
a robot can't bring is the human experience.
Totally. Yeah, I do. I had this conversation, and sometimes I still have them like with actors, and all of that. We will have like this roundtable editions and here and there, and we talk about that. The fact that that AI should be more to work with us and not for us. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? That should
beautifully said.
that should be like the real reason to it. And I mean, we can see it now that with with ChatGPT and other AI stuffs that they are able to create like a script for a play in seconds. And yeah, might be amazing, sure, but I do think that the more we will start to use it, and at some point people are gonna be begging for the human side because we need it. We're humans. We want to relate somehow, and it's not the same feeling if you relate to a story made by another person made by an AI, right? Or commercials too. Think like that. We need like the human to it. Otherwise, perhaps sure it would be amazing one time, two times, but after that, people are gonna be just tired of it. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't disguise the human heart, and yeah, I think you're exactly right. There, if it make it to a point where the human art is the people are going to beg to have that back.
Totally. I mean, we want those, like those relations. We want those mistakes that sometimes happen. We want that. So, and who knows? Maybe when we have like more about this AI stuff, then we start to understand how much we do need the human side. So, I do hope that at least that thing happens because yeah, it's just crazy because I mean, right now AI is focusing on the entertainment, but I mean, we all know that at some point it's gonna take everything, office jobs, all of it. So I do hope that at least people can be like more aware of the situation, and not take it for granted or things like that. So
I'm really with you there. I really hope that with AI, like we can't forget the human side, and perhaps, like you said, we need to work with AI. Maybe we can find a way to work with it, but we can't have it take the human away from storytelling.
yeah, no, I don't want to live in a world like the movie Wall-E. Remember? Did you watch it?
Yeah, yes, I
You
love
know,
Wally.
it was an amazing film, but the fact that you will see that like the people just sitting and not doing anything, things like that, I was like, No.
Yeah, exactly. Storytelling is part of the human experience, and you can't take that away.
Yeah, we need it. We're
We really
humans. We need
do.
that thing. So yeah. And tell me, like, what's the longest recording session you ever done, and how did you keep your energy up?
Oh, great question. So the longest live session I've had for one script was 2.5 hours, and I used a technique that my coach, Sammy Grant, my accent coach, she taught me is you actually ask the director to make a note in your script. And so what you do is you stop and you write down in your script something encouraging to yourself, like I can do this, I got this. So I was in that session, and I was doing a lot of screaming and efforts and impacts alongside my dialogue. So it was physically challenging and amazing, but it does take a toll on your body as you to do those. And so I asked my director, I was like, can I take a note really quick? And he was like, yeah, of course. So I wrote down on my script, I can do this, I can do this. And then I went back in physically and mentally refreshed.
And you make it happen.
Yep. And then you make it happen.
That is amazing. And like, how do you balance work on different projects simultaneously?
So I have a little roster that I keep a track of. So I, whenever a director sends me a script, I'll write it down in my roster, and then I just check everything off the list, and I make sure got everything organized by dates and stuff. And so uh, it's part of that's something with voice acting. It's not just acting; it's also a business. And so making sure you're keeping up with your clients and meeting due dates and uh, and using things like contracts and stuff, that's a big part of voice acting that I didn't really think about when I started. Um, so those are some techniques I use to help me keep all my records straight and my voice acting going.
Mm-hmm. And how has the voice acting changed you personally and professionally over the years?
Voice acting has changed my life entirely. I had no idea how much voice acting would change my life when I took that chance with that one casting call. It's made me feel more confident with myself. I have more courage to pursue things and pursue my dreams because of this. If you had told me then what I know now, the people I've met, the projects I've been a part of, the dear friends I have now, I wouldn't have believed you. And um, I, I would say just I learned to not put off dreams. Get started now, and get. I learned to take the courage and give myself the courage to pursue dreams, because it's changed my life entirely, and I wouldn't take it back for 1 second.
That's amazing. Okay. What do you think the 10-year-old version of yourself would say if she looked at you right now?
Oh, my 10-year-old self? I think she'd be thrilled. Acting is something I've always wanted to do since I was a little girl, and now I have my own booth and I've got clients, and I think I would be super excited.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Uh,
I mean, you already went to badass, super badass, so I'm just not gonna
Oh,
count
yes.
anymore.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, meet the max. Perfect. I'll take it.
Totally, totally. And like how, yeah, like what motivates you? We all have those days that basically, we just want to quit. It's inevitable, happens to all of us. So how you keep yourself positive on a day or in a moment that perhaps in your personal life might not be the best time, let's say.
That's a great question. I think learning to watch myself, watch for signs of burnout, also take a checklist with myself, say, am I getting, did I get enough sleep? Did I get enough to eat? And how did I work a long day today? Those basic things, making sure all my needs are taken care of is one. And then also having good friends close to you. So I have a lot of friends who are amazing in the voice acting and film industry, and going to them and just say, "Hey, this has been a hard day," and they always take the time to lift me up. So I'll say also surround yourself with great people, because they'll help buoy you up in those times.
Totally. Yeah. It's okay, right, to have like those days. I mean, I have covered that it's okay to have those days and sure have those feelings, but keep moving and not and don't let yourself be consumed by those. So
Exactly. Well said.
yeah, I love it. And you know what? My last question, so we can all enjoy and relax after a couple of difficult, amazing questions and an amazing conversation. So here it is. What do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
Best title. Oh, that's too hard. Uh, Dan is the best interviewer
Yeah.
ever. I think that's a
Okay.
great one.
Okay.
I like that one. Um, I would say, if I could, this is my little mantra that I tell to people: have the courage to pursue you. Excuse me. Have the courage to pursue your dreams. That's what's changed my
I'm
life.
just gonna drop this mic.
Yes, we did it.
So it's having the courage to pursue what? What was?
Have the courage to pursue your dreams.
Gotcha. So that's gonna be the title. Like
Ah, yes.
when you see it like on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcast, that's gonna be the whole title to it.
Oh, I'm excited. Yes.
There you go.
Perfect. We got our epic title.
I mean, at the end, what can I say, right? The fact that you are killing it out there, you're rocking out there, you're doing it. That is, I mean, that's impressive, and yeah, that's super impressive because we all know how challenging and difficult and all of that to pursue something that we care, that we love, and the fact that you are showing up, you are making, yeah, you are putting the work to it. I mean, of course, that it's inevitable. I mean, it's inevitable that at some point we will be chatting about the multiple thousands project you've been here, but also the fact that people could see you as a role model or as someone who is showing up and doing her work. I think that is super super badass, of course, but that is also inspirational, and especially right now in this crazy world that we should be paying attention more in people like you who are showing up and showing and making things great by performing and by giving us a reason to believe that dreams can come true. So
Oh, thank Thank you. Well, that means a lot to me, and people like you inspire me and motivate me to do my craft even more. So thank you. But yeah, let's have the courage to pursue your dreams. You can do it. Make it happen. You'll be surprised what happens. I was.
There you go. Epic. So
Epic.
I want to thank you for making this happen. I do want to thank also those who stayed this whole episode. Now, as I said in the beginning, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, but also on the description you're gonna find all of Sydney's social media. Now, because we discover how super badass she is, let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Sydney. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining, keep rocking. And I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.